Good evening. Welcome to the final debate for City Council. My name is Bora Chiemruom. I'm the Executive Director of LTC. Thank you for joining us in the last few weeks as we ask some tough questions to the candidates for both City Council and School Committee. The debates are being hosted by LTC, Lowell Votes, The Sun, and Khmer Post. As you know, this is a very important election year, and one might say historic. During this session, we will hear from District 5, 6, and 7. Candidates to my left, Sokhary Chau, Justin Ford, Dave Ouellette, Kim Scott, Tooch, and Paul Ratha Yem. And also to my left, we have community members who have generously volunteered to be our questionnaire and our panelists for the evening. Muriel Parseghian and Thao Lan. Thao is actually a Facebook of Lowell Community Bulletin Board. Thank you for coming. And Mimi is actually a former board member of LTC, so I'm so delighted to meet both of you tonight. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the questions, to respond to each questions, and then at the end, you're more than welcome. Please signal me to respond to previous questions and responses of the previous candidates. And we'll start with opening statements. So, Mr. Sokhary Chau, you're up first. You have 2 minutes. Candidates, all of you will have 2 minutes for opening statement. Yes.
Thank you. ខ្ញុំជំរាបសួរ សប្បាយดี สวัสดีครับ I want to say hello in Thai to my wife and her family who are half Thai. I want to thank Bora, Mimi, and Thao for being here and the rest of the LTC staff for hosting this very important, I don't call it much debate, but a candidate forum for us to come together and present our views, how we can best serve you. Currently, I am a Lowell City Councillor at large. In Khmer, that's Krong Praksa Ti Krong. This is my first term serving at the City of Lowell at large. Since day one, I started listening to the constituents, to every resident in the city. And as I said on my very first day in the city chamber, I promised the citizens to do my very best to serve every resident in the city, to improve the quality of life, to make votes that reflect really what every interest of the citizen in our city. And I have been carrying that through the past 2 years. I have made motions to improve the infrastructure at Duck Island, which is in charge of the what you call the CSO, combined sewage overflow, to make sure that the river, the water in the Merrimack River is clean to drink, for swimming, for other recreational purpose. From that, I focus on the community, on the neighborhood. I have implemented through motions, make sure that we have traffic calming measures. Put four-way stop signs on Shaw Street, School Street, Wilder Street, Wedge Campbell, Chelmsford, many other streets as well. I also have worked, I got $100,000 from the city to fix the HVAC there, the heating and cooling system at the Murray School. Also to install fence around the Moy School playground and the city park near there. So that way the children are safe, they don't run into the streets. Public safety for children, for residents,
Thank you,
for
Sokhary.
the business is very important to me.
Yep, thank you for that. Next up, Justin Ford, you have 2 minutes as well.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the Lowell Sun, LTC, Lowell Votes, all the organizations for helping put this on together today. My name is Justin Savung Ford. I'm a proud veteran. I'm a proud Lowell native. I was born in the city back in 1994. I grew up in New Hampshire, came back to Lowell in 2012 to go to school and be closer with my family. I went to Middlesex Community College. I went to UMass Lowell. In 2017, I decided to join the Army as a paralegal. I did 3.5 years on active duty. I just got out in January. I still serve in the reserves currently as my role as a paralegal. And I think my role as a paralegal has really prepared me for the role as a city councilor and as well in the Army. In the Army, we work under a lot of pressure all the time. We deal with risk management, making sure things are getting done at the right time, right place. So you have to balance your paralegal professions with your soldier professions. And it's a difficult task, but as a soldier, I did that, and as a city councilor, I can balance the task to help the city. My 3 policy proposals are working on green energy, going 100% green by 2024 on all green renewable energy. Second is to increase affordable housing and renting throughout the city. And third, I think it's important that we come together and mend our relationship with the police department, because right now I don't feel the trust is there. So I think we can work on that. As a member in the military, like I said before, I see myself in the role as a cop too. You know, we both put our lives in danger, and their work is honorable. So please vote for me on November 2nd, Lower Highlands, District 6. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. And up next, Dave Ouellette.
I'd like to thank everybody for putting this together this evening. Hi, my name is Dave Ouellette. I live in the Acre neighborhood. I'm running for a seat for District 7. I started the Acre Neighborhood Group Action, Acre Coalition to Improve Our Neighborhood, almost 13 years ago now. And it was in response because of the shootings in the neighborhood and the high crime that was happening at the time. Chief LaValle at the time said that the reasons for the high crime was there was nobody loud and vocal for the neighborhood, nobody standing up, nobody bringing the issues forward. So I took that as a challenge. I started the group action. And so we have monthly meetings. We've been having monthly meetings for 14 years now. At every meeting we have the manager's office comes, the community police, there's been community policing all along. They come to our meetings. We usually have anywhere from 12 to 40 members depending on the subject matter. And we brought a lot of changes in over the years. And at each meeting too, people's issues or what they might have are all brought out. We have department head coming to maybe another meeting to follow up on some of the issues we had. We're also the ones who brought forward the Welcome Rainbow. I had grown up in the Acre with my grandmother. I remember when it first got put in, the community joined together. When you sing, you dance, and you party together, and you eat together, you forge a friendship. So we put that Welcome Rainbow up. And it's called the Welcome Rainbow because each word for each different community, there's 36 different languages on there. I'm happy to say right now we're starting a project. We're going to repaint it because there's over 70 languages now in 12 years. And so we did Decatur Way and all that other stuff. When I was working for the city, I was a senior code enforcement officer. I'm the one who started the needle program, being proactive instead of reactive. When we had needles on a common and needles in the parks, needles in the playgrounds, I started tracking and doing data on them. So I started finding the spots where they were before they got called in, talk with the people who were leaving them, change some stuff, maybe put up a fence here or there, and then and talk with the people who were doing it. Also, I'm a health agent for the town of Dracut. I'm the health director for the town, so I understand what we're going through right now with a lot of different issues. And I've been working on...
Thank you.
We'll talk more in a little bit?
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Kim, you're up next, yes.
Thank you very much, and thank you to LTC, the other partners, Mimi and Thao, for moderating this today. My name is Kim Scott. I'm running for I live in South Lowell. I'm running for the District 5 seat, which is South Lowell, Sacred Heart, The Grove, Sweet Village, Back Central, part of the Lower Highlands, and Air City. It's a very big and distinct district. I am a mother, I am a wife, and I am a small business owner in the city of Lowell. I also have 20 years of experience in sales and marketing, and I currently work for the Epilepsy Foundation as the sales manager. I think that my sales and marketing background will be very beneficial to the city. I also served 4 years on the school committee. I got involved with the schools because they had no science programming, no science fairs, and other matters. During my time on the committee, I brought science fairs, we purchased science materials, and we brought forward a program that every child in the city eats for free, which was a savings to Lowell parents for $660 a year. So I've been very involved. I'm involved in the neighborhood group. I have my finger on the pulse of the neighborhood. I'm ready to go on day one, and I'd appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Up next is Tooch Van.
I'm Tooch Van, a migrant from Cambodia, born in 1975. When the genocide began, my family killed during the genocide because my father was a teacher. And through determination and hard work, I earned a scholarship to come to America. Carry on my father believed in education. So I did undergrad, Massachusetts Community College, Trinity College, master degree at the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy. And I moved to Lowell in 1996, owned a home in South Lowell for 12 years. My kid play in Butler School playground. My family and I walk to get meals from Good Times and George Daily, grocery store from Rose Market on Goham Street. South Lowell is my home. I care deeply for my community. So throughout 20 years, I'm out there, connect South Lowell to engage my communities to voter access, vaccination access, use as counting so the city of Lowell can have some dollars that it deserves. One of the plaintiffs, I finally moved to Lowell. So voters should know I commit and deliver what I promise.
Thank you, Bang Tooch. Last but not least, Paul Ratha Yem.
សូមជម្រាបសួរអស់លោកស្រីអ្នកនាងកញ្ញានិងមិត្តទូរទស្សនិកជនជាទីមេត្រី My name is Paul Ratha Yem, candidate for Lowell City Council to represent District 7, the Acre. My family and I live on Mount Vernon Street in the Acre for over 30 years. I came to America shortly after the fall of Cambodia in 1975 and was adopted by an American family living in San Bernardino, California. I volunteer my time after school working with Cambodian family in Long Beach, California. In early 80, I got a job offer to work with a Cambodian family in the greater Boston area. So I jumped at the opportunity and drove across the country without knowing how cold Massachusetts is. So I got here, worked with Cambodian family. My role have changed shortly after I became the Asian liaison for the Office of Executive Office Public Safety, later with the Attorney General Scott Hushberger. My job was to break down the cultural barrier between the Asian community and the law enforcement. So then I got a job offer. Part of that job, I was a member of the Asian Task Force against gangs violence in the city of Lowell in the 80s, and led by the District Attorney Tom Raleigh and the Chief of the Police Ed Davis. Because of that, we were able to control the gang violence in the 80s in the city of Lowell and the hiring of first 2 Cambodian police officers. So in 1989, I got a job offer to become a banker. So I worked for a loan institution for saving, and then later for enterprise banks briefly. My job is to promote bank products, including business loan and mortgages. So after that, I left the bank and I worked for the Cambodian American League to promote home ownership and housing development at 60 Middlesex Street in Lowell, next to Washington Savings.
Thank you,
so
Bang.
much.
Yes, thank you, Bang Ratha. So we will be moving on to the questioning part of the debate tonight, and we will start with Thao. Thao, your first question is to Sokhary Chau, and that's from the panel.
Yes, are you ready?
I am indeed.
Okay. So, first question is, are you vaccinated? And how would you assess the city's response to COVID-19?
That's a good question, Thao. Yes, ever since the vaccination was made available, I really look forward to getting vaccinated. My mom is 85 years old, and I made sure that when it was available for the elderly and the category of people at risk, I made sure that she got the vaccination as soon as possible. For myself, my wife, and my 2 boys, as soon as it was available, I made sure that we went to get vaccinated. The city did a fantastic job getting the word out, getting people to get vaccinated. I, along with other city council at different points last year, we all made motion to request the city to really provide vaccination at different sites, at mobile sites, to make sure that it was accessible to people who did not have cars. So we had mobile sites in almost every neighborhood in our city. We had in the Acre, we had in the Highlands, and College Stadium, Centralville. The city really stepped up. We put a lot of campaign out there. Not only that the city encouraged everyone to get vaccinated, the city did a fantastic job, again, through one of my motions, through one of my requests, to put out the data on COVID-19, because Lowell is very diverse, and we see that COVID-19 affected people of different class, different race, different ethnicity differently. So the city put out the COVID-19 data based on ethnicity, on age, and neighborhoods, to make sure that we reflect the entire city of which neighborhood and which group of people were affected the most, so we can respond to that measure. Thank you.
Okay. And we're going to ask Justin the same question.
Yes, I'm vaccinated. I think it's important to get vaccinated, but I also believe it's your personal choice to do so. So, first with that. Next, I'd like to say the city's response to the COVID-19 was like a lot of other cities, The pandemic was something new that a lot of people came into, not understanding the situation, the severity, and how to work through those problems. I think during the first half of the pandemic, you kind of saw that, and then during the second half of the pandemic, things started working out. We had vaccine sites, we had testing sites. So, thank you for that question.
Hi, everybody. Told you I'd be back. All right. Yes, I am vaccinated, and my job is I am the health director for the town of Dracut, so I've been seeing this firsthand, and it's very important to get vaccinated. I remember when it first started, we weren't getting the vaccine here. Lowell General Hospital with Jody White, they were trying to open the clinic up on the boulevard over there. And we had a hard time because everybody, at the beginning, everybody had to go towards Gillette Stadium. There was a lot of things to get to Foxborough to be able to get the shot. And the way that it's supposed to work is when there's a pandemic, you're supposed to get the vaccine to the people, not the people to the vaccine. So we fought for quite a while, and then finally we were able to get it because we were quite dry here for quite a few weeks. So, and then also part of my job is we do our tracking and tracing, and I call people up at their house. Sometimes I'm the one who's letting them know that they are now positive. They said, oh no, I just got checked. But the way that it works, that when everybody gets a test done, whatever zip code you live in, the results goes to the health department in that zip code. So even if you're on vacation someplace, I still got to track and trace you wherever you are in the country, talk to you and talk to that local health department. And so I've seen a lot of people who were, especially at the beginning, the first few months of this, people were very nervous about it. I used to go to people's homes because a lot of times the information wasn't right at the beginning, and I got written up in the document review about the job that I was doing in Dracut and reaching the people who found out that they were positive and helping them out, especially the first couple of months. It was very interesting. So yes, I am vaccinated, and I believe in the vaccination, and you should get yourself vaccinated if possible. And I thank you.
You ready, Kim?
Thank you. I am vaccinated, as well as my husband and my children are both vaccinated. We were vaccinated the day that we were eligible to become vaccinated. I think it's very important for everyone to receive the vaccine. I have elderly parents. We saw each other outside like so many people did. We weren't able to sit together inside the house. I had a father on hospice. So the day we could get vaccinated and make sure that we kept them safe, we did it. I think it's something that we owe as a society to those that are more vulnerable to do this. I think the vaccine is safe. I do think the city did a very good job. It was slow coming from the state, the supply, but once it was here, the only thing, the vaccination sites and testing sites were kind of located on the outskirts of town, but that was probably a logistics issue, having such a big site. Joanne Keegan did a wonderful job, Carol Moriarty, and all of the health nurses that just worked round the clock contacting people and contact tracing. So yes, I think the city did a good job. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Thao. I COVID. I volunteer. I started volunteer, and then I also start with and work with for the series to get people vaccinated. So definitely, I vaccinate myself and the entire family vaccinated. The series start a little bit slow, but later on it's more working out very well, and then work with the local community health centers, low hospitals, produce the clinics, a mobile clinic in multiple languages, Spanish, English, and Portuguese and Khmer, and so I'm so proud that I would be able to connect to my communities as well, reach out to all the monks. I believe that we got Cambodians who don't speak any language get vaccinated, about 300 people. So I will also take this opportunity to invite who haven't vaccinated. Please go to vaccinate it. A vaccine is free, effective, and safe. So please do, and you do for your self, but also for your communities, for your family, and for the community at large as well. So I thank you for these questions. But these questions I dear to my heart. I'm working on that.
Thank you. Bora, you're next. Yes.
Yes, I'm fully vaccinated. The first time the vaccination was available, I have an elderly father-in-law and mother-in-law. At first, the vaccine was scared, so I scout the internet every day, try to get the appointment. So finally, we get the appointment way up in West Springfield. Drove 2 hours to get my parent-in-law to get vaccinated. And because I took care of my father-in-law, so I also was given vaccinated back in February of 2020. And then a month later, we went to the same location to get the second dose. And I'm very proud that I'm vaccinated because I want to protect my family. When my son, the teenager, 14 and 15 and 16, eligible, so I took them and have them vaccinated. This is similar to like we go to school, we have to have a vaccination card, and I believe that this is what we do to protect our family and the people around us as well. And the city of Lowell have done a tremendous job when the vaccine's available on the boulevard. And I remember receiving not one but 3 phone calls from different health workers to encourage and ask us if we have been vaccinated. And I told the young lady, yes, we have been vaccinated, and she's very polite and happy that we are fully vaccinated. And I encourage, I know it's a personal choice, but just like any vaccination that your children before enroll in school, you have to have a vaccination card. So I encourage you to do so. Thank you so much for the opportunity for the questions.
Thank you. The next question will be to Justin Ford from the public, and Mimi will be asking the question. Mimi?
Thank you. First of all, thank you to all 6 of you for running. The city, people like me in the city greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Justin, do you believe racism is a public health crisis?
Thank you for that question. Yes, I do believe racism is a public health crisis. To the people who say, first off, I want to start off with saying that, other things such as opioids or homelessness is a pandemic. Yes, that is a pandemic. But you can also have a pandemic with racism as well. And that's the truth. When you ask why black women die 4 times higher rates from childbirth, that's because systematic racism and not having access to good health care. When you talk about education system, people falling behind because of language barriers. When you talk about policing, when people get pulled over and are scared and fearful, like I've been myself. So racism is real in the city. Racism is real everywhere. It's institutional. It's built in. I understand it's an uncomfortable conversation to have, but it's a real, very real thing that we need to work on in this city. And we can do that. We can we're working on hiring a diversity, equity, inclusion official in the city, but we can also work in other areas, such as hiring practice throughout the city, getting more diverse candidates into working positions throughout the school department and the city. So there's a lot of areas we can work in, but I think the first thing we need to do is understand that, all of our life experiences aren't the same. So if I was a person who didn't experience racism, that doesn't mean it's not real. It's just I haven't experienced it. And as a city councilor, you should be able to put yourself in other people's shoes and understand the different struggles that they go through. And that's addressing racism. So thank you for that question.
Thank you, Justin. The next question, David.
Yes, hi everybody. Looking at it, I do agree racism is a public health crisis in the country and around. I have been an inspector for many years. Years ago I worked for CTI and I was a housing specialist doing DHCD housing inspections. And I'd have to go and inspect the unit before somebody would be able to move in. And I remember during some of the inspections I'd go in and I'd look at the unit and the condition it was in. And I would say, excuse me, you're trying to come on the program and you're trying to put something like this on the program. And I said, it's the thing, and they go, well, and I was literally told by quite a few different people, this is going back about, probably 14, 15 years ago, yes, it's gonna be good enough for them. And I went, what? And right away I told them, you're not the type of landlord that we're looking for our program. And instead I would just walk out on them and not let them even consider renting, because that's absolutely what we weren't looking for. Also, like when you said when the pandemic started and the COVID shots, and going back to where I was at the beginning, a lot of the poorer areas, a lot of the different racial areas could not get the vaccines over to there at the beginning. A lot of it, like I said, were in a mostly prominent, maybe white areas and higher end, and so it just wasn't right. So yes, but in the city itself right here, I believe we've come leaps and bounds. I've worked with UTEC, and I was just there the other night. The next generation is going to be incredible. I've worked with Youth Build America. And my hiring practices, if you look at them because I hired people when I worked for the city of Lowell, and I hired people in Drake. And you're welcome to look at my hiring practices, and I believe diversity is a good thing. You look at everything that I've done in the city as far as Decatur Way and the Welcome Rainbow, it's always about all of us. So yes, I believe it is, but I think the city itself, I can't call our city racist. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Same question, Kim.
Thank you very much. I think that racism is absolutely a public health crisis. It's just a fact that that's the case. The American Medical Association, American Association of Pediatrics, American Health Association, our own Lowell Community Health Center says that it is a health crisis, and they are the health professionals that are saying this. And I don't think you're going to find anyone in the health profession that is going to say that is not accurate. And it's just because the data states that it's accurate. As Justin mentioned, there's lower mortality rate for people of color, more infant mortalities, there's more lead paint poisoning, there's more gynecological cancers, and there's less screening that happens, and that's a big part of it. So yes, I do think that is a crisis. The letter that was proposed in front of the City Council also talked about hiring practices. While I was on the school committee, I made motions about nepotism hires, cronyism hires. I think I was kind of ahead of my time a little bit, actually. We had a 94% Caucasian staff in our public schools. So it definitely needs to change, and it's definitely time to happen now. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Same question, Tooch.
Thanks, Mimi, for the question. I believe we should own up one thing, and that one thing is the racism is the public health in Lowell. And I have to say that the data have shown low community health, like Kim said, low community health centers state and been documented. We have to listen to the experts in the field. So and and we not say that city of Lowell is a racist. We just say that racism is just have some issue with the racism. So we need to address this about this. And then like any systematic, when you try to find out what is the root of the problems, the right solution is come up with to finding a great diagnosis. So of course, I really support the statement. I always support the declarations, and I strongly recommend that we should listen to the expert and also the data. It's a fact, like Justin said. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Ratha, same question.
Yes, racism is a public health crisis, and I would take a step further. That is a pandemic, especially when we witnesses Asian women working their spas that were killed in Georgia. We saw an elderly Asian woman was kicked and stomped upon on her way to the church. We saw a businessman was punched in the face that so hard that he lost the sight of his left eye. And yes, it is a pandemic. One thing that I want to commend the city of Lowell, the city manager, and the police department. With all of that, the hate that against the Asian community, the police have beefed up the patrol in the Asian community in the Cambodia town, and all the churches, all the temple in the city of Lowell. So I just want to commend the city of Lowell, the police department, for take a proactive stand. As far as the hiring practice, the city of Lowell have come a long way. We did not by declaring that racism is public health, labeling the city as a racist city. No, the city, I met a lot of very good-hearted people accept us when we first came in 1980 as a refugee from Southeast Asia. And the city of Lowell historically are the city of immigrant that very different immigrant community came. And the city have diverse population, particularly in the police department. We have now have younger men, women, Asian descent, Latino, and Black are hired to be police officers, and also the firefighters. And also in the workforce in the city hall as well is diverse. You know, it's a process, but we come a long way, and there's more way to go, and I would love to work and continue, if I'm elected as a city councilor, represent District 7 to increase more diversity in our city.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Same question to Sokhary.
Wonderful. One of the benefits of going last is that everyone here made a great explanation. Thank you for the question, Mimi. With all due respect to all the candidates here, I'm the only one who had voted on that motion to declare that racism is a public health crisis. But to declare, to state it, is just one thing. It's not just about feel good to say, oh, it's a crisis, it's a challenge, it's a problem. But as elected official, we have to act on it. We have to do more. And in the past 2 years, I'm proud, along with my colleagues on the council, we made a motion, and one of the motion was mine also, to create a diversity task force, mayor's task force that's converted to, that we would meet with different members, representative members from different areas, different segments of the communities, representative from nonprofits, from students, from businesses, different sector of the neighborhood would meet with the mayor, and once in a while would participate to listen to the concerns of what is really the issue of racism in our city. The second part is that we also, candidate Ratha Yem mentioned earlier, we put funding into hiring a diversity DEI officer to address the issue, to make sure that our workforce reflect the faces of the members of the community. And so we're proud to have that we're in the process of hiring to have that person to come on board. The third thing that I'm proud of, again, Paul Ratha Yem, you've been paying attention to what's going on, especially with the Asian hate. As soon as it happened, what happened in Georgia and it happened in California, happened in New York, almost roughly around the same time during the summer. I had a conversation with the chief of police, Chief Richardson, and immediately he increased the patrol and cruiser around the minority areas, around the Asian businesses, the Asian neighborhoods.
Thank you,
So
Sokhary.
I'm acting on that. It's something that I want to make sure that we all feel safe here in our city.
We will be moving on to the next question, and this question is directed, I'm looking straight at you, directed at Dave Ouellette, and it's from Thao. Thao, your question, please.
So Dave, what would you do to help develop small businesses in your district?
Good question. All right, so I've been working on a plan now for almost 2.5, 3 years through the Acre Neighborhood Group for the Upper Merrimack Street Plan. I'm also the Vice President of the Lowell Housing New Program Renew. And as far as economic development, we're working to bring in, we're going to have about 250 new units going up and down the Merrimack Street, and we'll get to that. I'm sure there'll be a housing question. So as far as looking at the economic development for the area, as far as storefronts go, a lot of the businesses, when you're in the Acre and you're in our area, you succeed. Sizzling Kitchen is doing incredible. Sophia's Cafe, and most of the local businesses, Friends, Olympia Restaurant. We have some of the most 70 to 100-year-old businesses in the Acre. But a lot of it, we're running out of storefronts. So as part of each one of these projects that we're doing, we're adding different storefronts along the way. Jeanne Credit Union, when they do their new thing with 32 condo units and a new store, they're also adding 4,700 square feet of retail in space for that. When Lowell Housing, when we're doing our buildings, we're probably going to add 5 more storefronts to bring businesses to the Acre. In CBA, it's going to be redoing 555 Merrimack Street, and same thing, they're going to be adding a storefront. So as you're coming down Merrimack Street now, it's going to be a business district also. So it's going to be a mixture of housing, a thing of mixed-use housing also. But as you come down the thing, you'll be able, so with walkability in businesses, where if we're adding all those more people, you should be adding places for them to work and places for them to eat, and make the walk from UMass Lowell, the Upper Merrimack Street, to downtown, and finally connect that piece that needs to be connected to make it a very good business area. Also, I'm working on a huge project right now with the St. Jean. We'll talk more later.
Yes, thank you, Dave. Same question, Kim.
Thank you very much. So I've been out talking with the small businesses in our community. A lot of them are doing really well, actually, around South Lowell, Sacred Heart. They need maybe some marketing help. I did speak to them about applying for funds during the pandemic. Quite a few of them, gave them some guidance along that way. One of the things I really think is kind of a long-term solution, long-term plan, is I really think that we should have a discussion about bringing the Lowell Connector down to grade level, having a real corridor connecting Gorham Street down the Lowell Connector. I think we have this land that is surrounded by highway with highway access, and it's just very valuable land that's not being used. So that's one of the suggestions that I would have. Obviously, bringing the small businesses to the table, talking to them. I'd like to see a citywide kind of summit. Talk to the successful businesses. What's worked? What hasn't worked? How can we help you succeed? Thank you.
In the 3rd grade.
Yeah.
All right.
Good job.
Back in business?
So
Good
we are
job.
back. Thank you for that. We're LTC, but technology, it does happen. Difficulties happen. So I'm giving 2 minutes back to Tooch to answer the question. And I'm just going to read the question again. What would you do to help develop small businesses in your district? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you for the question, Bora. Like I said, this small business in our communities, I strongly support it. I believe in it, and these values that I instill in my families. I take my kid eat locally all the time. So, but during pandemic, I'm part of the business recovery task force that we talk about grants and technical support to help small businesses so they can keep their door open. And so, and Sao Lo is very, very fortunate because with the new drawing, by the way, the business corridors in Chelmsford Street and Woburn Street and Goham Street. So these business, I, from the bottom of my heart, I want them to strive, and then I try to connect them to the grants or technical support so they can help with their digital marketing, so we can bring customers on board, and that's my answer.
Thank you for that. Same question, Bong Ratha.
I'm very happy to say that I'm a small business owner myself in the acre. I'm a real estate broker. I was able to benefit from the PPP, it's payroll protection program, and the city grants part of the small business assistance. And also I benefit from the SBA. From this experience, I was able to assist other businesses who were struggling during the COVID to apply for grants, and also to benefit from assistance from the city of Lowell. I'm happy to say that I was instrumental in bringing the well-known tasty dumpling Chinese restaurant. They were famous in Miami, Florida. They were looking to start a new franchise satellite business here in the city. I was able to bring them to 355 Market Street. They are now thriving businesses, so I encourage you to, check out their restaurant. In the meantime, I also helped the Gormley breakfast, used to be in East Merrimack Street. The building got sold, so I was able to assist them in relocated next door to the Tasty Dumpling at 347 Market Street. And I was able to negotiate with the landlord, so that the landlord will give them a 3 months rent free while they renovated, outfit their restaurant. So these are a few of the idea that I would use my experience and resources from the city of Lowell to attract, to encourage, and to help existing businesses to thrive and grow, and to bring new one to acres and the city of Lowell. Thank you.
Thank you. Sokhary, same question.
That's a great question, and as many Southeast Asian members in the community know, small business close to my heart. My wife and I, we ran a mortgage company for 10 years in the early 2000s, and my brother currently runs a mechanic shop in the Lower Highlands. Many of my closest friends that I grew up with, they own businesses now, and I understand small businesses to the core, really. It means so much to me. I'm actually probably the unofficial consultant to small businesses ever since 2000. Many Southeast Asian members who have questions about businesses, applying for licenses, for permits, where to go for resource, they actually either call myself or call my wife. Even this week, I met a woman that's looking to get a permit and licenses to do her import-export business here in Lowell. Of course, I refer her to people I know that they're attorneys that specialize in small businesses. But as elected official also, I know we have to touch on some aspect of what COVID-19 had affected small businesses the most. And also especially minority business owners, because when you apply for the grants either from city or from the state, the paperwork is very difficult. I was very proud to work with the director of the economic development, and we visited a few Asian businesses in Couple Square, and Christine McCall, through my introduction with the business owner, was happy to have not only that business, but have 2-3 other businesses to apply for the funding and receive the funding. And again, that was one of my motions, as I mentioned before, to get money from CDBG to help small business through the suffering from the pandemic. Presently, going forward, it's all about the money. What that means is that we as council, we're encouraging the economic development, the DPD, basically to apply for grants, to apply for funds, to bring the money into the city to help these small businesses in our neighborhoods. in
Thank
our
you,
city.
Sokhary. Same question to you, Justin.
Thank you. Small businesses are important in our community. I think that's we all share that same sentiment here, that we care about the small businesses in our city because they help us thrive, they bring in our tax money, and they're our citizens and our constituents. So that's very important. One thing I think we need to focus on coming out of the pandemic is how we can be innovative with small businesses. Like some of the candidates talked about, grants and loans, those are great starting points as well. And we can also talk about structuring and how we can structure new businesses into the populations that are becoming more dense throughout the city. So I think that's one area we can work on that. Something else is the city is talking about bringing Amazon, I believe it was a warehouse or a storage facility to the city. And I think that would be wrong. First off, it would hurt small businesses and cause wages to go down. And next, it's just not small business friendly. So I think that the city council should step back from that. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. The next question will be directed toward Kim. Kim, this question is from the panel, and Mimi will be asking the question.
What would you do to make Cambodian Town and Lowell a major cultural attraction within the city?
Oh, I think this is long overdue. This was a large discussion back when Patrick Murphy was the mayor, and it really just kind of went away. I would be a huge supporter of that. I actually did speak recently. He left a week after we had the conversation with Craig Thomas about this very thing. There's a Transformative Development Initiative grant. They applied for it for Hamilton Canal. The state told them they were too far along in that project. They applied for it for the Air City Industrial Park. They told them that was too, new in the project. And I suggested the Cambodia Town area as the next area for us to look at to apply for that grant. Almost every other city, gateway city in Massachusetts has received this grant at this point in time. So I really hope that is a focus, just to connect the city, to connect it to downtown, and to give it an identity that it really deserves in our city with such a large Southeast Asian population. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Same question, Tooch.
Thank you for the question, maybe. Cambodian Town, I am part of the committee to create Cambodian Towns from the start get-go. But it is for how we going to improve this Cambodian. I mean, right now is overload development up there, and then that will open so many gateways to Cambodian towns, especially I believe that they are on the restaurant and the businesses on Branch Street and Middlesex Street, and so they will benefit from the when the development over. And then so I also support with the grants, any grants that will help small businesses, and also that I sort of echo with the Justin say about the creative and innovative. Because if we find the creative ways and ways that create more businesses, and so that people will tend to stay in Lowell. So especially young people who graduate from Middlesex and UMass Lowell, so they might because these small business will give them some jobs and do design and marketing and web IT and those kind of things. So this will be the dreams, one of the dreams of Cambodian Town.
Thank you for that. Ratha, same question.
I'm very proud to say that I'm the founding member of the Cambodia Town Committee. I was a secretary of the Cambodia Town Committee. I was instrumental in negotiating with the property owner at the corner of Branch and Middlesex Street to put the statue and the signs there. Under the Patrick Murphy mayorship, he was also allowed and create flags that identify the Cambodian culture as you come down from Middlesex Street down to the Cambodia town. And we also have fundraising to support businesses to create a walking map so that the people who come to Cambodia town will know where to go and connected all these businesses. However, just like everything else, the changing of the regime, so Cambodian town sort of fall off the map. And if I'm elected with to represent District 7, the acre which has a portion of the Cambodia town along Middlesex Street, I work with my colleague Sokhary Chau. He has the other half of the Middlesex Street that include Cambodia town to promote and to improve that area to be a vital tourist similar to Long Beach, California. If you go to Long Beach, California, there's a sign say welcome to Cambodia town. And we were met with our previous administration to have a sign on the low connector if you come down from the 495 saying, you know, welcome to Cambodia town, similar to Long Beach when you get on the freeway, so you can get off exit Plain Street, or you can get off Fletcher Street, and the sign direct you to Cambodia town. Will be a tourist destination that people come to visit Lowell. And right now, due to pandemic, so a lot of businesses are not doing too well. People are not going out. But if I'm elected, I would like to, work together to bring back the Cambodia town.
Thank you. Same question. I'm going to just repeat the question for the last three. What would you do to make Cambodia town in Lowell a major cultural attraction within the city?
Thank you, Bora, for that question. And Paul Ratha Yem, he mentioned, and Tooch mentioned a little bit of the history of Cambodian town. So the public understand Cambodia town is the area from the Lord Overpass on Branch Street all the way to School Street, and Middlesex to School Street as well, surrounding the Cambodia town at the business corridor on Branch Street, and the Clemente Pylon Park as well. That area has a great history. Has one of the oldest Southeast Asian restaurant in the city. When we talk about Cambodia town, I have to thank Bong Annabelle, Lakana Annabelle, and just Polly, Bong M. The couple really invested personal time and personal money to bring the monuments, the handmade all the way from Cambodia, to put in that statue area on the corner of Branch Street and Middlesex Street. So I thank the couple so much for making Cambodia town for what it is. And Ratha Yem started the process of talking about the signs, the signage. I also made a motion, and we talked about it with the previous administration, to have signs off the highway, and also like you have Chinatown in Boston or in San Francisco. They have some, the gateway into Cambodia town. So we're talking about that. Hopefully we get that gate for the entrance of Cambodia town, because really it's a gateway that connecting the Southeast Asian area to downtown and to the rest of the city. It's a welcome area. We want to make it a tourist destination for not only for people in Lowell to go shop or to visit, but everybody in the state of Massachusetts. People from all over the country and all the world to come visit the Cambodia town area. We need to increase performance there, ceremonies there. I know that we normally have events at Cambodia town monument area.
Same question, Justin.
Thank you for this question. Cambodia town is very culturally rich, and it's important for the city. Having so many Southeast Asians, I feel having Cambodia town makes people feel more included in the community, and it's a beautiful area, but there's a lot of work we can do in Cambodia town. This morning I talked about the idea of hosting festivals like we do throughout other parts of the city, holding festivals in Cambodia town. We could be closing off streets and making more access to businesses, to people to walk around and just enjoy that. I would also like to add on to that in that area we have parks that are crumbling. We're talking about benches that are missing seats. We're talking about basketball hoops that are missing nets, and basketball courts that are just cracked in. So I think when we talk about the Cambodia town, we need counselors in there who take care of it, because right now it's not being taken care of. Thank you for that question.
Thank you, Justin. I will get back to you after Dave respond to the question.
Yes. Cambodia town is a great area. When I was working for the city, I was in code enforcement, and I worked with a lot of the restaurant owners, making sure that everything was right. I rewrote the food packet and to make everything easier and more streamlined, so anybody coming in that wanted to open a business, it would be more understanding. And I also worked very close with everybody, went right to the businesses, walked through it with them, and see what I could do to help. It's a great area, and the thing is like they were saying, is we need some great signage. And just like when you go to other areas, you have the telephone poles, there should be banners hanging from those, welcome to Cambodia town. We got that new rotary going in, and when it's done, as you're doing the rotary, there should be signage on the rotary. That rotary is to make more bikeable, more walkable, so it should be more inviting to bring you there. You should feel like you're entering something special as you reach the area. It's like, and the same thing coming off of the highway right there, the Lowell connector, it should all be signage. So together that should really promote the area. Also, there's a beautiful park there, Roberto Clemente Park right there, in the food stand that used to be there was my friend bought, and yes, so anyways, he was there, and I worked with him very closely, and they put out some terrific food. And so there needs to be festivals, there needs to be parades, there needs to be like when there's a holiday, when there's something, that area just comes alive, comes full of color, comes full of the vibrant of the culture, and it really, and again, it's the pandemic, I think, slowed some stuff down, but we're getting to the other end of that, and it's time for this to just come alive again and be enthused by it. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are, we're going to allow for some responses. So you please keep it to less than 1 minute. Yeah, thank you.
I just want to respond to what Justin said about food festival and all that. Before the pandemic, Clemente Park hosts a Cambodian New Year celebration every year in the Clemente Park. A combination of a collaboration between Cambodia Town Committee, myself included, and then they have a Cambodian Clemente Park Committee and the CMA. We host events there, playing traditional games, also food and everything there every year until the 2020, the pandemic. It shut everything down, and then the 2021, and now the park kind of fall. One side we have a basketball court, volleyball court that being used, but the other side where the swings and all of that was taken over by homeless people. And I thank my colleagues, my friends there, Sokhary Chau, who filed a motion to get some money and to fix all of that area. And I would like to continue to work on that. Thank you.
So we're going to give the same time to Tooch, 1 minute.
I share the sentiments with Justin that said about the festival that I work in Cambodian associations. So we do a lot of annual functions together to bring the cultures, and then the Clemente Park, and then especially Clemente Park and CMA, we will do that together. And we hopefully when the pandemic over, we will continue doing that. But also, the second point that he said, Cambodian town need help. They just have the non-profit status board, but the board will not function. So we need help. The couple cannot do only certain things. So that if I got elected, that's one of my first priorities, to make a Cambodian town working.
Thank you, Tooch. Justin, you also have 1 minute as well.
Thank you. Yes, I'd just like to respond to what Paul Ratha Yem said. So the park, Sokhary Chau made a motion about 2 weeks ago to fix the parks. So this is something that's an issue that's been going on but hasn't been dealt with, and it feels like it's only being dealt with because it's an election season, and that doesn't make me feel comfortable. Also, another thing is when we're working on the park situation over there, there's a lot of young people who are pushing this initiative, and I was one of the people who went to City Hall and asked and spoke on that motion that Sokhary Chau filed to fight for the park. So thank you.
Thank you. Sokhary, your response, 1 minute as well.
Thank you, Bora. It's always the part of the challenger to blame the sitting councillor. And sometimes when you don't see it, you think it doesn't happen. That's usually the novelty of a new candidate. So in the Highland Park, the Clemente Park, I work with the state rep delegation. We brought in $100,000 to build the roof over the bocce. We fixed the volleyball court area. We made sure that the grass are cut. And I responded to every single need in the Clemente Park area. And you have to remember that we are overlooking the entire city. The city administration is overlooking the entire city. Things take time. The past couple years, in the midst of the pandemic, we have tremendous development throughout the entire city. We have major roads improvement. We got a lot of money, advanced repair money to fix the schools.
Thank you, Sokhary,
And
for
that part of the park, it's on the list for us to do.
Okay.
I know that you want to do things, solve things yesterday, but it's not how the city works. Everything's in process.
Yes, thank you, Sokhary. So if Dave or Kim, would you like to respond? Okay.
Yeah.
You do, Dave, you do. Okay, jump right in.
Good evening, I'm back again. Just in response to some of the other stuff too is, in the acre I had a similar problem with the North Common. There was a lot of stuff, but just being loud and vocal and pushing for the acre for over the last 12, 14 years. After we did the Welcome Rainbow, we didn't stop there. We got the volleyball court, and it's we got nice soft sand over there. I've been to the Roberto Field over there looking at the volleyball court. I'd hate to jump for a ball and land on the ground over there. It definitely needs some attention. If you look at the North Common, our basketball fields were in horrible shape. But we all worked together, and over the last few years, at first they said they didn't have the funds, they didn't have the money. There was cracks like this that you couldn't even play basketball. I have my friends, and we all went there together, and we fixed all the cracks. We fixed everything. We fixed the nets ourselves just to show, because they said they couldn't spend the money because nobody was using it. And it was a chicken or the hen, because then they said, well, nobody's using it because we can't use it. So we went back and forth. So we fixed it ourselves just to get it. And once the city, we have 280 kids in organized sports now.
Thank you. Thank you,
yes.
Dave. Yes.
Bye.
So we've come to the final question, and the final question goes to Tooch, and this question's from the public. Thao, you want to ask our final question?
Yes. Okay. Many sidewalks in the city are in rough shape, especially in winter. What will you commit to doing to ensure the safe and equitable access to Lowell streets for every resident?
It's a good question, Thao. When we knock on door, I've been knocking on 1,000 doors, my team and I. And that's one of the issue that the infrastructure, which is sidewalk. And then South Lowell, Gorham Street and the cemeteries along with it, no sidewalk. So and this I've been reported, and then I've been and then if I have opportunity to get it like this, we'll invest some money and to fix the roads and infrastructures and sidewalk.
Thank you. Same question, Paul Ratha.
The acre had been overlooked for many years, and sidewalk, pothole on the street, cleanliness are the issues. The city will receive about $76 million from ARPA money, and I would like to see that the city will use that to improve infrastructure. That means sidewalks, road, signage, trees, some lighting in the acre, particularly around Bowell Street and Salem Street, and other small street that was not being the main road. So that's what I would like to see, and I would work tirelessly to improve, because we have been living there for over 30 years, so we have seen. My street on Mount Vernon was paved 2 years ago. This is about over 30 years, so we got on the list and we finally got our street paved. And I appreciate the city to do that. And if I'm elected, that's what I would like to work with the administration to improve that sidewalk, this pothole, and create more quality of life for the family who live in the acres.
Thank you.
Could you repeat the
Thao,
question?
I'm going to ask Thao to read the question again.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, many sidewalks in the city are in rough shape, especially in winter. What will you commit to doing to ensure the safe and equitable access to Lowell streets for every resident?
Great questions. And I've been on the council only for less than 24 months, and I must have had over 200 motions. And a lot of it have to do with safety of the roads and the sidewalk. In short, I have requested traffic calming practice on School Street, Shaw Street, Wilder, Wedge Campbell. I got, not me personally, of course, I asked the city to put in the capital campaign budget in the amount of $100,000 to have traffic on Stedman and Westford Street. Only a few weeks ago, the city agrees to expend $375,000 to $400,000 to improve the road and the sidewalk on Hale Street in front of Glory Buddhist Temple. We have major improvements on Stephen Street, on Pine Street, and Middlesex Street. So we improve all these major streets, but one of the things that, again, Paul Ratha Yem mentioned is that we have $75 million coming in ARPA fund. That's one of a lifetime. And I would like to, going forward, I would like to expend some of that money on side street and small streets to make sure that those streets are clean and paved for the children to play safely on. Just being on the council, I get calls all the time from neighbors and residents, especially during the winter season. Make sure that plow trucks go plow the snow on the streets and make sure that we keep all the streets safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Justin, same question.
Thank you for this question. So we were asked about equity and access for people to feel safe. And when we talk about people who have disabilities and stuff like that going down the sidewalk, and when you don't have a sidewalk that's done correctly, that's a problem. When you have people getting hurt on the sidewalk, that's a problem. When we talk about infrastructure, we need to be very smart when it comes to planning. Because I feel a lot of times it's proactive and not reactive. So when we plan, we need to take the risk management situations into play and think about what's going to happen next, so that we don't pave a new street and then have to rip it up a year later because we have to do the sewer underneath. So I think we need to be smart when we look at infrastructure and things like that. So thank you for this great question.
Dave, same question.
Yes, okay. That's one of the things I find just from talking with people. We definitely need sidewalks. We need crosswalks put in for the safety of the people crossing. But one of the biggest things I'm looking at that we could successfully do quite a few things at once with that $75 million that's coming in. One of my biggest plans is the sludge treatment plant right now down towards Duck Island. I built the one in Springfield, Mass on Bondi's Island. I brought it in on time, on budget. It takes the sludge and turns it into compost. Right now we spend $3 million a year taking our sludge and shipping it up to Maine. We have that combined water and storage overflow. So also when you're digging up a street to separate that, because right now Duck Island is running out of room. There's a constraint on building in Chelmsford, Dracut, Tewksbury and Tingsboro because we have no more storage over there. So it's time to look at this way beforehand, because if all of a sudden Maine says they have no more room, we're stuck. Right now we have that money, and when you do the storage in the water separation, you're usually digging it up, and if you look everywhere they've done it, they put in brand new sidewalks, brand new roads at the same time. Everything's done underneath, and if we don't do this now, 5 to 10 years from now, we're gonna be stuck, and there's not gonna be that money, that $75 million sitting there. And plus, if we do the storage thing, the other towns need to pay to have their storage here, so when we go to do these projects, we have those other 4 communities getting money from the federal government also. So that project, which cost $8.7 million when I did it in Springfield, Mass, and still running today, still making compost. It's a very good operation. The first one that was ever built in this country was in Disneyland. And when you go to Disneyland, they process it on, and that's why the grass is so green. But this is all a sellable product after that, because now you can sell that compost. You can use it on your highway projects. You can use it on your cemeteries. You can use it in your yards. Contractors can buy it because it's safe once it's been through this process. And I know how that works. I built one. I work with one. It's a great idea. And plus, we'll save $3 million a year. So even if it's $24 million, besides everybody else paying for it and going
Thank you,
in,
Dave. Kim, same
you'll hear
question.
more about that.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for the question. So we have the ARPA funds coming, and a priority for me with the ARPA funds is to replace the crumbling gas and water lines under our ground right now. And part of that will be, paving and replacing sidewalks as well. So these are the type of things that I think we need to really invest in. They're long-term things. It's not salaries. These are things that we can really invest for the city. Some of the issues right now, walking the neighborhood, I've also knocked 1,000 doors. And the gas line work that's happened, we have dug up sidewalks all over the place in South Lowell that were just not repaired correctly when they were finished. So we really need to find out how that approval process is happening. Snow-covered sidewalks for businesses, we need more enforcement. And definitely a big issue is parking on the sidewalks and parking close to the curb at the end of the street. We're definitely not very pedestrian-friendly. One thing that I have that I don't think everyone has is I've walked my neighborhood for this election, but I also walked the entire city for the school committee. And equity is definitely an issue. When I knock on houses, they say, our neighborhood doesn't get the nice sidewalks. It's true. And that's something that we definitely need to focus for the entire city, even though I will represent South Lowell. Thank you.
Thank you. I know you have your hand raised, but I must apologize. It is almost 7:30, and we're supposed to conclude by 7:30. Some of the candidates have to leave as well. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us. Oh, I just been told that we could keep going. Tooch, did you want a response?
Yeah, I want to clarify two things. One, I
Yeah.
want to clarify when I said investment, it means some of the money that we got, 66 million should be get in there. Number two, in terms of safety and the UMassLow grants work with the friendly aging group that be a part of that, and so we the seniors people from their communities, so go around and take pictures. The grant have not implement full year, but take pictures. What are the sidewalk? What are the pave need to be done? And then so and then they come to bring to the city manager. I thought it's a very good and action oriented, and they did one, and then it was fixed.
All right, thank you. Anybody else would like to respond to that? No, you're good. All right, thank you, everyone. I just wanted to say to our viewers, thank you for joining in for the last 3 weeks or so. I hope that your questions have been answered. Please, I cannot stress this enough, get out, go out and vote November 2nd. Vote for your candidates. We hope that LTC and among our partners have been able to inform you and you're able to make informed decision on November 2nd. I just wanted to thank my team, my staff, particularly Chris Menil, Dan Bazarian, who is part of the municipal department, for putting all of this together in the last few weeks, and also to the amazing other team members of LTC, Steve, Courtney, Nari, oh my goodness, I'm gonna forget someone and that's not good, Nick, and I cannot stress enough that they've even flex their schedule, because we feel so strongly the importance of getting the information out and having the proper information to make your decision. So again, get out and vote, and have a good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Good job.